gentlemen, children of all ages, and ships at sea. This is, of course, what you've all been waiting for. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that occasionally ends, but guess what? It starts right back again. I am joined by my co-host.
Mine's easy.
Yeah, somewhere. There you go. Thank you with the assist. Mr. Matt Brunelli. Matt, how's everything going? Well, I guess I should know everything's going for you.
It's going good. It was a good weekend of college football. If you ask a Tennessee fan, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I bet it was. Oh, it's been not so good for the members of the Roll Tide Nation, but we're also joined by my friend, your friend, and our newest FOTS friend of the show, Brandon Booth, also known as Whoops, Humongous, Biggs, Big Boned 38, Big Boned FFB. Sir, what stood out to you from week one?
What stood out to me was the failure and ineptitude of North Carolina Tar Heels football and Mr. Bill Belichick.
That'll work. Yep. I think, frankly, he probably would say yes to that. I think he would probably co-sign that. I'm going to just throw it out there. I don't think it was a fun week of practices on Chapel Hill. I'm going to guess that the meetings didn't go all that great.
I'm going to go ahead and say they didn't get a day off, even with a short week.
No, they did not. They did not get a day off. They most certainly did not. He probably showed up at some people's homes. It was probably not awesome. And if you're Gio Lopez, that sound you hear is that freshman breathing further and closer to your neck and your jaw.
Well, what was even worse for Gio was the fact that the backup came in and went 9 for 10 with a touchdown in his first 10 attempts. So Gio wasn't getting it done. He needs a little bit more incubation time, apparently.
Didn't UNC pay him $4 million to come from South Alabama? Isn't that the rumor? The quotation marks rumor.
Unless someone wants to show me a straight up receipt for that, I am gonna guess it was less than that.
Yeah, I would have to agree, but that is still a lot.
I'm sure he got
definitely after the opening drive. I mean, he looked amazing on the opening drive. You thought, hey, hold on, and then it just.
That, my friend, is the power of what's called an opening script. Yeah. The problem was that was all the good stuff. And then once they'd adjusted, they didn't have an adjustment to their adjustment. Whoopsie. So, full disclosure, the first time I ever saw college sports in my life was actually my third birthday at University of North Carolina. Don McCauley set at that time a school record for 226 yards rushing against NC State.
Ooh.
And that was my first time ever seeing college sports. That was a basketball school then, and we'll see if it continues to be a basketball school now. Obviously, they had a good run under Mac Jones. I think they moved on from him too quickly. That's just me talking here. I still believe if they'd left him in place, they wouldn't be worse. I'll put it that way. They wouldn't be worse off, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I wonder if
multiple NFL quarterbacks come through his school while he was there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I get the allure, right? The excitement that surrounds a name like Belichick, but I don't know if we're about to find out if he's a college coach or not. And so far.
Well, hey, I mean, as it was talked about at the beginning of the broadcast before that game, he got smacked his first game as the Cleveland Browns
also
head coach. So, I mean, this could just be an omen to how he starts his first game at a tenure at a new place. So,
and then when he gets his second job and gets a kid, maybe Brady has a son. Who knows what Brady does have a son? Maybe,
Belichick's not to have another kid. We don't know.
It could all work out for him. I'm going to go back to our guest because we only have him for about 20-ish more minutes. So I know you've got a heart out. Walk me through your favorites, other than the game you talked about, your favorites games that you watched, and maybe your least favorites, and why that you saw this past week.
All right. So my favorite game this past weekend was the University of California Golden Bears. They are my top D1 team or FBS fan rooting interest. They traveled up to Oregon State and put a whooping on them. And what I was interested in seeing was how freshman quarterback, true freshman, Iran Kayab was going to handle his business. And in his first ever collegiate action, he was absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to look at the line real quick. He was 20 completions on 30 attempts for 66 completion percentage and 234 yards and a 123.5 rating. He rushed twice for 30 yards, threw 3 touchdowns. And this is from an 18-year-old kid that played around with the recruiting game. Apparently he was originally a Cal recruit. He declared for Oregon and then wound up in Eugene and said, I don't want to do this, and entered the transfer portal without even having a practice, and wound up at Cal, won the job in off-season camp. And so I was very interested to see how he was going to do. And it was immediate. There were a ton of freshman quarterbacks that absolutely lit up the world on let's see, it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or however long this college football weekend was. But JKS was my biggest interest, and he absolutely delivered on what my hopes were. So that's the biggest pleasure this weekend.
Okay. What was your biggest displeasure? As much as I hate to be negative.
Well, I was, Gio Lopez. I wound up dropping him in a bunch of college fantasy leagues. There were a lot of, I play a lot of college fantasy in Campus to Canton leagues, Devy leagues, etc. And there were some lines. I'm an Arkansas Razorbacks fan. Braylon Russell had 4 fantasy points on 11 rushes. That's not. Arkansas won, which is fantastic, but there were a lot of very subdued performances in the fantasy landscape, and that was an especially depressing one. Then Taylon Green goes out and throws like 5 or 6 touchdowns or something like that. So they didn't really need Braylon Russell, but that's I wanted to see more from him. Nick Singleton, that was another one. He only touched the ball 19 times, or had 19 yards. Sorry, he had eight rushes for 19 yards, and he scored 2 touchdowns. So let's see him involved a little bit more. But yeah, those were some of it was the fantasy side that kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, and shout out to my friends at Campus to Canton. They sent me a thing. I meant to play and I forgot. So my mea culpa, my bad. I love the idea of. In fact, I've actually played in a sleeper league. Didn't we have at one point, Matt, with All Time Misfits had a college fantasy league, and I think I won it, right?
Oh, we did. Y'all used to have it, but I forget that it wasn't Sleeper. It was before Sleeper. It was a web-based link that you could download as.
That's what it was.
And we had it as the Super Dynasty, where your college players, when they got drafted into the pros, went to the pro roster. Yeah, so we were super nerding it there for a little while.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool as heck, actually. I wish we just smart enough to build an app and sell it. If only we'd be millionaires. But next time. So continuing, rolling forward. Now we look back and now we're gonna look forward. What are the games, Brandon, you're most excited about, Mr. Biggs?
Well, when I met you in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, we talked about a young running back from the University of California, Davis. So I wore my hat today.
I saw the hat.
Lan Larison.
Yep.
And he showed what he can do, was a UDFA for the New England Patriots. But his and my alma mater, UC Davis, are traveling up to Seattle this weekend, and they're going to be facing Washington, who came off a pretty big victory. UC Davis played against Utah Tech last week. They were down 24-7, scored I want to say 24 unanswered points and came back to win. They also were part of the kickoff weekend. Their game in Alabama against Mercer was lightninged out. They had a lead with about 7 minutes left. The game was canceled. They should be 2-0. They're 2-0 with an asterisk. They're 1-0, but they're traveling up to Washington, and I don't think Washington knows what's coming at them. And if you're looking for an FCS upset this weekend, look for UC Davis to upset University of Washington in Seattle.
It's funny you mentioned that. When you leave us, not that you could ever be replaced, Big, but when you go, we're going to be joined by one of the best FCS people in the world, Zach McKinnell of the Blue Bloods, who now works with Sports Illustrated. And we're going to break down, and I'm sure that game will come up, where we might find our first FCS over FBS upset. Great stuff. And I'm a fan. There was a quarterback I liked at UC Davis. Can we discuss Miles Hastings at all?
I think we did. There's a long line of quarterbacks from UC Davis: Ken O'Brien, Kevin Daft, JT O'Sullivan,
Coach Kevin Peterson. I mean, not Kevin Peterson. First time I saw Coach Peterson was his quarter. Chris Pearson was the quarterback at UC Davis first time I saw him.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to ask the same question of my very, very redoubtable co-host, the one, the only Matt Bernaldi. What games are you fired up to watch, Matt?
I would like to try to homer for the Tennessee Volunteers, but let's be honest, they're not playing anybody really big this week. Obviously, I think I'm excited for the Michigan OU game. I'm excited to see, Bryce Underwood looked amazing. His opening start against New Mexico at home. So now going down to Norman, Oklahoma, and starting down there. I'm excited to see if he can continue that. I thought Michigan's defense looked fantastic. So I know Mater for OU played really well his week one. So excited for that game for this weekend. Also, seems like more of the slower week of games. There are a lot of smaller schools are playing. Week one was so hot and heavy with the big schools. There's no big top 25 matchups besides that one. So I'm really excited for that game. And then I think would like to watch Florida State again, but they're playing East Texas. I think the Iowa State game should be very exciting to watch. Iowa State is favored. They're starting 2-0. Rocco, who's my sleeper crush for NFL pros, everything. I like what he has to offer. So I'm excited to see how he can perform against an Iowa defense. I think this is going to be one of his more true competitions early in the season. Can Iowa State continue? Because I did say with a hot take that they could win the division or the conference.
Yep, you did say that. And I'm going to say this. I wonder if they get hot and they are like a 10-2 team. I talked about sort of like the RG3 effect, right? The person that people don't see coming, and then the voters like, oh, right? And they just discover a player. He could be that kind of player. NFL Bloodlines, it's a likable program. And if they get hot, like I said, and they could, it feels weird that the Cy-Hawk Trophy game is being played this early in the season.
Yeah.
I'm used to that being like a November game, but whatever. I'll live with it, I guess. I'm excited about that game. I'm writing about that game literally as we speak. I'm trying to finish it real quick. I promise we'll be done hopefully tonight. But that's a game that I'm very excited about. Even some of the non-marquee games are going to be fun watches. And
the one I was going to say really quickly is Virginia Tech, Vandy. Is it a revenge game? And also Virginia Tech. I'm going to talk about Virginia Tech. I know Drones didn't play well. I still believe in Drones, but I got to keep hollering out my Central Missouri alum, my specialty, who had an amazing week against that South Carolina defense, coming from D2 Central Missouri and pretty much being the life of that offense, Mercedes Hawkins for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Yes. So I'm excited to see if he continues being the number one back on that offense. And
I want to chime in real quick on Rocco Becht. So, again, I come in on the fantasy side, and whenever I see a freshman quarterback that is a true freshman that comes in and gets a starting job, they hit my radar immediately. And so Rocco, as a freshman, I loved him, and that made me fall in love with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. Last year, 2024, game 2, Iowa versus Iowa State, Rocco was 23 of 35 for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception and a win. And then in 2023, he beat he lost to Iowa, a touchdown and interception. So he's matured, and this being his junior year, I think he goes and beats Iowa just like he did last year.
And then the question is he likely to declare early? Obviously, he has the advantage of having a father who knows the league well and, of course, is a terrific coach. Hopefully, at some point, his dad gets a chance to coach in the NFL. But I think that's an exciting, interesting game under any circumstances. I'll watch that game, no matter when they hold it. Like I said, it's a little anticlimactic to do it so early in the year, but I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it. I'm also interested to see what happens with Iowa. Now, we've been saying for a million years that Iowa is just a quarterback away. For those that don't remember Chuck Long, or maybe Brad Smith,
Got it.
the last time you felt good about an Iowa quarterback. It's been a little while. So if, and it's a large if, it's a sizable if, but if they've solved their quarterback woes, we'll find out if Iowa could be a legit contender also in their conference. Okay, let's talk a little bit about upsets, surprises, things that people might not see coming. I'm going to jump back to Mr. Booth, our guest. Predictions.
Predictions.
Or guesses, if you prefer.
Sure. We're looking at so we had the big kickoff weekend, and there were games that were Texas Christian versus North Carolina, basically Power 5 schools that were on the same level. This week we're getting Utah against Cal Poly, Cal against Texas Southern, Arkansas against Arkansas State, Penn State versus Florida International. I don't see a whole lot of even games in this week of college football. But I am going to say that Boston College upsets Michigan State.
There we go. Boston College is the kind of program that will probably end up winning 6 or 7 games. But at least one of those games, I'm with you, will be somebody that nobody thought they would beat. They're going to beat somebody that people thought they were. We'll see if it's this week. But I buy them as a team that is sort of laying coiled for somebody to unwittingly spring their trap. I'll ask the same question of my co-host, Mr. Matt Brunelli. Who do you think might?
Oh, I think, like you said, there wasn't a lot of hot games. Obviously, I'm going to continue going down the road, and UL Monroe is going to be Alabama. No, I'm joking. UL Monroe.
Grambling is going to take out Ohio State.
Yeah. No, what I truly do think that could happen this week, after last week's performance of this team, I think South Florida could take down Florida this weekend. Ooh. South Florida played amazing against Boise State last week. As long as
Byron Brown, baby. Byron Brown for Heisman.
Yeah, if Byron Brown can stay healthy and just truck people like he was against Boise State, I really think – and Lagway's hurt. I know Jones came in and played better than Lagway, but they have this as a very 80%, 82% chance that Florida can win. I don't see the spread as of yet, but I am smashing whatever spread they try to throw down on this game because I think Alec Golesh has something special brewing down in South Florida, and I think there is an upset brewing this weekend in the Swamp.
I don't know what the line is either, but I'm with you on that. That's the one I'd circle as a possible upset for 2 reasons. One, people are still, for some reason, sleeping on South Florida. Wake up. That's a pretty good
17.5-point spread.
Oh.
Smash for that spread.
17.5. 17 and the hook?
Yeah.
Sorry, grandma's insulin money is going someplace else this week. That feels that's tempting. That's beyond tempting.
Yeah.
Byron Brown is one of the best players that people don't tend to know about. He got hurt last year, which isn't surprising if you see his style of play. But when I first saw him, you know about young quarterbacks. When he first took the job at South Florida, he was electric. he was electric. He had a couple of games. He was inconsistent like young quarterbacks often are, but he had a couple of games where he was just wow. I think there was one game where he like passed for 255 and ran for 120 or something. He had a couple of like wow games when he first won the job. And I circled him. He made my what I call all emerging team as I think it was the third string quarterback that year. And then injury marred, following. But if he stays healthy-ish, with his style of play, he won't be able to stay entirely healthy.
Because he's not that big to be – I mean, he looks big, but
he's a decent-sized guy. But, yeah, he's not Josh Allen. I mean, yeah, or Cam. Yeah, he probably should pull back a little on some of it. But he plays hard, and he does whatever it takes to win. But he can throw the ball. Like, don't be fooled.
I think he has one of the worst throwing motions in modern day history.
The motion's not great, but the arm is stronger than you think.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not, but whatever he does.
It's not how I would teach a child to throw a football. I'm agreeing with you. Yes, I'm agreeing. Don't show this as teaching tips to your kids.
This is not how you don't throw the football.
Right, yes. This would be the opposite game. Okay, before you have to run, I know you have to run in just a moment. I'm going to ask you for just, who do you like for the Heisman? Who do you like to eventually make it to the college football playoffs? And who do you pick to be the team? I guess I'll exclude Alabama. Who else does everyone think is good who is not good?
Oh, those are tough. You have to look to South Carolina for the Heisman watch. I think Alabama is not as good as people are expecting them to be. I was going to give you another upset alert on top of the UC Davis over Washington and the other one I gave you. Look for UNLV to beat UCLA this week.
I like it.
My man,
but yeah,
he's seen it. He saw what Nico does. Garbage.
Yeah, and Calandrea is actually a pretty good quarterback at UNLV. He's got Alex Orji, who's kind of a second wheel, I guess. John Harbaugh called him the best kick returner he's ever seen, and he's a quarterback. But Calandrea is pretty good, and I think he's gonna light UCLA up. I tend to not look at the Heisman in the preseason because there's so much hype around so many players. You had like people talking about DJ Lagway and Nussmeier and Drew Aller and Nick Singleton and all kinds of guys who, there's just a huge field. And we need to kind of see a few games. But South Carolina is going to that quarterback is definitely in the conversation. And then look for Cal to win the ACC.
Woo! There he is. That's my guy. That's steaming, smoking, incredibly thermonuclear hot. But speaking of thermonuclear,
but they look good.
Speaking of thermonuclear hot, tell people where they can find your content, your work, all your good stuff that you're out there doing.
So if you go to Twitter, you're going to go to @BigBoneded, BIGBONEDED FFB, BigBoneded FFB on Twitter, BigBoneded on Blue Sky as well. There should be links that, follow me and links will come up. I work for Fantasy Football Advice Network. You can go to that website. I work for the Undroppables. You can find us at the Undroppables on YouTube. Uncovered_NFL. I have a Las Vegas Raiders show that runs live stream every week. And follow me on Facebook at BigBoneded FFB, and I will link everything.
Excellent. It is. We will bring you back at some point.
Sweet.
I promise.
And at that point, I'll remember Lenore Seller's name.
Yes!
Don't worry, there's only like 1,000 kids you got to remember his name. It's kind of hard. I'm not good with names, so don't worry. I feel you.
It's fine. And actually, I thought you were just doing it for like a sense of mystery. It's like, look at him.
No, I was thinking of Nick Harbor, and I'm not calling Nick Harbor a Heisman candidate, but Nick Harbor was the name that kept bouncing around in my
It's
head.
because we're all always thinking of Nick Harbor. Like our wives and girlfriends think we're thinking about other women. No, we're thinking about Nick Harbor.
right. Or Dante Thornton.
There you go.
Yeah. I do want to shout out my newest Raiders wide receiver one and former Tennessee Volunteer, Dante Thornton.
He is.
As he said a couple weeks ago, I've been running the whole route tree since high school.
Underrated. He was very underrated through the draft process.
Yeah.
I had him going round 3. So him to fall as late as he was insane.
Don't put too much emphasis on his 40% curl route running at Tennessee, because that's a Tennessee thing, not a Dante Thornton.
The reason he had to run 40% curls is because Nico cannot throw the fucking deep ball or throw any other pass out there. So we had to get the ball to him somehow.
Right. Yeah. So if your fantasy leagues on the NFL side, you better be smashing Dante Thornton everywhere, because he's about to surprise some people. And
as always,
Jaron Kiave, Sangapolutele.
Sangapotele. He got it. Sangapotele.
JKS.
JKS.
Yeah. All right.
But you're right. He's a real talent.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
We will have you again soon, I promise.
I will glad to be back, and can't wait to see you again in Mobile.
Thank you, sir. Oh, you will. Take care of yourself, and as always, please, he's an official friend of the show, people. So like all his stuff, subscribe to all his stuff, and bother him on well, I can still call it Twitter, X, I guess.
No, please bother me at Big Boned at FFB.
Yes,
Thanks.
do that.
Thank you, guys.
See you again soon.
See ya. Thank you.
We have had a really great run of guests. I feel really good about our guest run, like generational guest run. And we'll be joined a little bit by one of my favorites. He's a super busy guy. I'm amazed he managed to make time for us, but he'll hop on at some point. And Zach is as good as it gets. He is ridiculous. But this gives me time to pick apart, mess around, and dig into some of the stuff I've been looking at in terms of teams that I think could be, once again, surprise teams. There are teams that we sort of put on a surprise, and he mentioned one of them. He mentioned UNLV. UNLV has things going for it. One, they have money. And money always mattered, but money really matters now.
And they have a coach.
Correct. That's a really good combination, money and a coach. When you get those two things together, you can make the other stuff work, right? And I mean, when let's say you're up against a bigger school like Nebraska, but Nebraska's in Nebraska. You're in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So if I'm 18 years old and the money's close, but I have a better job, a better chance of seeing a starting job earlier at UNLV, and it's in Las Vegas, and Nebraska's in Lincoln, Nebraska, which there's nothing wrong with Lincoln, Nebraska. I would make it very clear.
There's a lot wrong with Lincoln, Nebraska. It's in Nebraska. Okay, let's just.
The point I'm making is that if you're 18, you think differently. Okay, so I was hyping up Zach McKinnell, but I didn't hype him up enough. So I'm going to hype him up some more. If you care at all about FCS football, even a tiny little bit, or if you'd like to learn about FCS football, you want to build your knowledge base, you are about to have an absolute treat. I mean, in fact, thank me later. Or thank me now. I don't care. But you're about to enjoy one of the best in the business. This is Zach McKinnell. They don't get better. Zach, first of all, thank you. You are one of my favorite people on the planet Earth. And when it comes to football, you're as good as it gets. What's been going on?
Oh, man, not much. I listen, I'm not as good at planning as I am talking football, so I plan to move right at the start of football season. So in the process of buying a new house right at the start of football season. So it's been a little bit hectic these past 2 weeks, Bill. But again, man, like I told you, I'm always going to make time for you, man. I love what you do, and I always love chopping it up with you, man. So anytime.
Well, I'm, first of all, honored anytime. And the fact that you always have so much going on in your life and you made somehow to carve out time, I'm forever in your debt. And we'll talk more, but I want us to spend more time together. This is an amazing man, people. He really is. God, I love this guy. But this isn't time for me just to wax Rhapsodically about my love for Zach McKinnell. This isn't the time to wax Rhapsodically about possible FCS over FBS upsets. Somebody dropped a little something in our bonnet about UC Davis, who is a good, solid program and might surprise some people. But I'm sure you've got some others that you think might be laying in wait for some unwitting FBS program. Who are some of the possible FCS over FBS upsets we might see, Zach?
Yeah, you probably caught me a week too late. Last week, my super dog pick was Tarleton State over Army, and that obviously hit. Tarleton State did beat Army. It was the first FBS upset of the year. And then later that night, obviously, Austin Peay knocked off Middle Tennessee State by 20 points, which is insane. I think there's a few this weekend that are possibles. I look at potentially UT Martin over UTEP. UT Martin's always been a team that has been right there, plays really well in FBS games. They knocked off Kennesaw State last year. Now, given that's kind of a cheat since they were new to the FBS, I love what they have coming back at running back. I think their defensive front's pretty solid. And I also just think Scotty Lawton needs more time to get UTEP back to where they need to be. Now, this one might be controversial, and this is no shot at Nevada, but I think Sacramento State's facing a much more winnable opponent this week than South Dakota State last week on the road.
You're not wrong.
It was a really long week for the go-go offense last week, but I am a believer in Brennan Marion in that offense. Jaden Rashada has to play better, but we've seen teams not play well in FCS play, but play well in FBS play. So I think Sac State, Nevada is what I'm looking at. And the last one, just to throw you, Bill, man, Southern Illinois at Purdue. Purdue was probably the worst Power 4 program in the country last year. Southern Illinois, I'm really high on them. I have them in my top 10 and my top 25 ballot. I love DJ Williams and the athleticism and the dual threat ability he brings. They've returned back like 9 guys with starting experience on defense. I'm really, really high on the Salukis, and they have a shot to knock off a P4 program this weekend.
Could not agree. I agree with everything you said. And just as a bonus, Northwestern better mind its P's and Q's against Western Illinois where we're at it. The state of Illinois could be a dangerous place to be a lower tier Power 4 team if you don't tighten it up, if you don't pay attention and figure, just the fact that you're in the Big Ten is going to just carry you through. And you're right, Purdue has some things to figure out. They used to be you can hang your hat on them throwing the ball, right? They might not have a defense. They might not have a running game, but they're going to throw the ball and do it well. That used to be when nothing else went right. They had that, and now they can't hang their hat on that anymore. So, what is Purdue if they aren't a passing attack? What the heck is Purdue? I like everything you had to say. I'll ask you what I just asked our previous guest, Brandon Booth. What were your favorite moments from week 1? Oh, Zach.
Ooh, I guess for the FCS, obviously South Dakota State looking so good defensively. They had a lot of turnover. Now, 10 of the guys who started were on the roster last year, but none of them were starters. And there was a lot of turnover. New head coach and Dan Jackson, they lived up to all the hype, and they absolutely shut down Sacramento State in this high-powered offense everyone thought they had. I always love getting double-digit FBS wins, man. Austin Peay winning by 20 over Middle Tennessee State. The first win over Middle Tennessee State, a big in-state rival for them since they moved to FBS. And Austin Peay held them to like 160 total yards. It was actually insane watching that one. Obviously, I know it was a loss, but I love seeing Andrew Body and what he did against UAB at quarterback for Alabama State. It's been a long journey for Body. He had that one or two good years at Texas Southern, has been battling injuries, man. He looked like the superstar all of us thought he could be, and it was finally good to see it all come together for him. And then finally, man, I think Lehigh, I'm real high on them this year. I think they have a good chance to repeat in the Patriot League. It was a big win over Richmond week 1, which was a key in-conference matchup for them, and that was a huge win for the Mountain Hawks.
Yep. Body is a great story, and when we were talking about Byron Brown at USF, who got off to like his huge start as a freshman, then battled injury for almost 2 whole seasons, and now people are rediscovering him. Some of a similar story arc where like burst onto the scene and then semi-forgotten almost for a while. Then people are like, oh, yeah, that guy's actually pretty darn good. I like a lot of what I saw from him. I watched, my sturdy but not super prepared Dauphin State Spartans get slapped around by Towson. For me, the bright spots were our D-line. Our D-line, they didn't lose the game. I'll say that much. They got consistent pressure. They held up for the most part against the run. There were a couple of, bad run fits, but for the most part, they held up. Our secondary, however, yeesh. Oh,
Out of position.
Oh, consistently, right? That 3rd and 20 where they got a 36-yard touchdown. And literally, guys were like looking around like, oh, he's allowed to do that? He's allowed to throw the ball still? Oh, that was very frustrating for me. Very frustrating.
Especially with the true freshman quarterback on the other side. Like, Towson listed, I think, 3 quarterbacks on their depth chart, and then just start the random true freshman nobody knew about, and he played pretty well.
Indorf, yes. Indorf looked, if that guy continues to improve from where he is now, we're talking a guy in 3-4 years is going to probably be a Peyton Award finalist.
Yeah.
He showed me arm strength, poise, toughness, because we hit him. We hit him a few good times. The one part of our team that I felt good about was our interior defensive line, and we have one really good pass rusher. Oh, man, we got to get that secondary worked out. And our receivers. Our receivers also look pretty decent.
Yeah, Drayshawn Kendrick was legit this weekend. Which makes sense coming from William and Mary. His dad's on the staff. Like, We've seen Drayshawn be good. Quarterback's a weird thing, though. Now Vic's saying he's going to go back to Izzy, which – how do you feel if you're Otto, who just outplayed Izzy? It'd be different if it was like neck and neck, but it was like Otto was here, Izzy was way down here, and you said, "Hey, man, we just really like Izzy, so we're gonna give him the start." If I was Otto, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take my red shirt, and I'm gonna get on out of here."
Yeah, I hope that I hope it's just like a motivational mind game thing. Because Alcuin is clearly the better, at this point at least, clearly the better. It's not even close. Like, it's what I call grandma scouting, where like your grandma is just kind of walks past and says, oh, he's better. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one of those things you had to be deep into tape. Like, it was just so clear. From getting plays off on time, hitting the right person on the right part of their body with the football. I mean, basic stuff. He was just better at all the basic stuff. The only thing I could see that you like what Izzy is, I don't want to accuse Michael Vick of, trying to find the next Michael Vick, but obviously Izzy can scoot. That's the one thing I can think about, that where he's, other than that, Alcuin is better at everything else. And he's not a bad runner. I mean, he's an effective runner. He's not going to, bust an 80-yarder, but he'll get you 12, 13 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's way too early to think playoffs. So I'm not going to actually think playoffs. But I am going to ask you to tell me who you think wins or is playing at least for conference titles in the FCS conferences. Who do you think are the teams in the, Patriot, MEAC, SWAC, and the MEC, NEC, the Mountain West? Who do you think finds their way to the titles?
Man, I gotta find my conference champion predictions, man. You caught me off guard with that one.
I'm so sorry. That was my fault.
No, you're good. No, I'm messing with you, man. I think the big sky for me would probably be Montana State right now. I'm really high on the Bobcats. I think they're great. Lampson looked better at quarterback than maybe I expected last week against Oregon. I had them in preseason. I'm gonna stick with that. CAA, I picked Rhode Island. I love Marquise Buchanan at wide receiver, one of the top FCS draft prospects as well. And I think Devin Farrell's ceiling at quarterback is unbelievable. If he could just be a more consistent passer down to down. I like Harvard out of the Ivy League. Jaden Craig, is there anything we can't say about him and how good that he could really be? Yep. North Carolina Central out of the MEAC, I still like them. I know they kind of fell on their face against New Hampshire, but we kind of saw the potential of that team against Southern in week 0. North Dakota State, we don't have to say anything about the MVFC in that race. I like Tennessee Tech coming out of the OVC Big South. I know it's a little bit unconventional pick. I love the pickup of Kekoa Visperis at quarterback. they nailed their transfer portal additions. Everybody was proven, from the D2 additions to the FCS additions to even some of the FBS additions. Bobby Wilder can coach with the best of them, and he doesn't get enough credit for that rebuild he did at Old Dominion a handful of years ago as well. I love what he's doing at Tennessee Tech. Like I said, I got Lehigh coming out of the Patriot. I'm actually going to go ETSU out of the SoCon. I know that's another probably unconventional pick there. I love the 2 quarterback system they're running, which is so weird. I hate 2 QB systems, but when you land Jacoby Criswell and Cade McNamara, they both got to play. Like, I mean, the fact that happened with Will Healy year 1 is insane. I love their rushing attack too. Defensively, they've been good for the past few years. Then the last year, I like Incarnate Word still in the Southland. Yep. I know they got off to a rough start. Still, the Southland, those pretty wide open. If it's not them, probably going to be Stephen F. Austin. I like Jackson out of the SWAC, and then Tarleton State by far out of the UAC, who had a really good weekend. But Tarleton State just looks like that team that could be dominant, Bill. I mean, they've played in the first 2 weeks, Bill, both games against Army and Portland State. They played like 20, 30 defenders, 10-plus snaps defensively. That's an insane depth for an FCS program. So I think that depth's going to help them win the league.
The only one where I quibble with you slightly, and only slightly, I don't know. We'll see. I like Incarnate Word. We'll see. Tarleton's a machine. I may differ with you slightly in the OVC. I love most of your picks though. It's gonna be good. Like, it's gonna be a good year. Outside of the unstoppable killing machine that is North Dakota State, there's a lot of other teams that are, 1, very good, and 2, like, there's not a big gap. I think in most of the conferences, with 1 or 2 exceptions, the top 3 are very close together. So we're going to see some real fun paint swapping when we get deeper into conference competition. Well, I've asked many questions. I'm going to throw it open to my co-host, who has his own special view of some conferences. Matt, what would you like to ask of my friend, the guru?
I don't know if I know FCS like you two, so I'm not going to be able to sit here and even try to act like I know anything like you two just rambled on, which was just super impressive to listen to. So I was just enjoying learning more than anything. I mean, I didn't know half of the, I know all those schools. But to know the players, know the portal, to know every conference of every team. Yeah, that was impressive. I guess, I'm a Tennessee fan, and you stated that you have ETSU winning their conference. Do you think they even give Tennessee a run for their money this weekend, or do you think Tennessee easily can beat them this weekend?
I mean, it's just a different level. I don't like those type of games. I mean, it takes a real special team to beat a team like that, right? Like, you're talking historically. I mean, what, Appalachian State? It's the only team, because even that Florida State team that Jacksonville State beat wasn't a good Florida State team. And so I guess when you look at ranked FCS over FBS wins, I believe we've only had like 5 or 6.
Yep, in the history. Yep.
Yeah, so Tennessee's going to win that game. I love ETSU, but I don't know if I'm that high on it.
I wasn't trying to say that they would. I just was more asking, what do you like with their system and their defense? Do they give score multiple, or do you think Tennessee easily shuts them out? Do you think they give them a run for their money for a quarter or two?
I don't think they'll shut them out. I think ETSU will get some points on the board, but I don't know if it's ever close outside of maybe the first quarter. I think then Tennessee will probably pull away.
Yeah, again, impressive, sir, with your FCF knowledge. It's FCF, so obviously I know a little bit, but I don't know that type of level. And that was, again, for me, it's just fun listening to you guys go back. And for me, learning a lot and a lot of players and people to look out for and teams to know to watch.
And the crazy thing about ETSU is their program has only been back for a handful of years. I have friends. Shout out to my friend Coach Stringfeld, who went to ETSU. He was a Buccaneer wide receiver back in the day. They dropped their program for about 16, 17 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And people, love football at that school. I was shocked they dropped their program, and eventually they rallied, brought the program back. And as you might expect, they struggled for just a little while, but not long, and boom, this program is back stronger than probably ever. They are, you're right, they're a threat. They're a legit threat. They have a shot at double-digit wins, and they have a shot, I think, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you win the SoCon, you'll get in. But I still think, I don't know. I say that now because Mercer's now lost to Presbyterian and had the no contest with UC Davis. So I don't know what the SoCon's future may be for the playoff bids. They might be a one bid league again. As much as SoCon fans don't want to hear that, they need someone to really step up next to ETSU that doesn't have a bad loss, because you had Western Carolina collapse and blow a 31-35-7 lead to Gardner-Webb. They lose that game. Sanford got blown out by West Georgia. So really and truly, and like I just mentioned, the Mercer loss, they need someone like Chattanooga or someone to step up next to ETSU and make that run to the postseason.
And Chattanooga could be that team. They're another team that worked the portal well, right? People always talk about the portal victimizing. And we talked about this preseason. In the offseason, you and I talked about this. Victimizing the FCS and, dragging talent out of that conference. But you just mentioned that Jacoby Criswell and Cade McNamara are co-quarterback at the FCS level. So
Cade McNamara still haven't allowed to play college football. That dude's 30 years old, still playing ball.
If you love something, you never work a day in your life, Matt.
Well, so, yeah, how he's still in college is
Yes, that's Dr. Cade McNamara to you, young man.
I hope the guy he has a doctorate by the time he's all said and done.
But
and started at Michigan and then ended at ETSU. That's a hell of a drop, sir.
Yeah. Was Criswell a 4-star coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. So that really is an amazing. If you had told these guys at 18 that someday they would be on the same team, they might think, yeah, maybe at USC or Iowa or Michigan or whatever. But no, they might not have guessed where it would finally happen. Before we let you go, and I know you've got a lot going on, I want to ask you about the NFL draft. And it's, once again, it's stupid early. It's too early. But every year, I've always played this game myself. Who will be the first few FCS guys off the board? I've nailed it a few times. I've missed it badly a few times. Everyone's talking about Bryce Lance. And I mean, obvious why. You watch Bryce Lance, and he looks like everything about him yells, ex-receiver. He's got the exact build you want. He's probably going to run in the mid to upper 4.4s. He's basically a slower but more durable, slightly slower but more durable version of Christian Watson with, I think, better ball tracking skills. But
Watson doesn't have ball tracking skills.
That's the point I'm
and better route running
without being, unduly harsh. But I want you to tell me about some of your favorite prospects who you think have a chance to, make it down to Mobile and get a chance to be drafted and things like that.
Yeah, you obviously talk about Bryce Lance. Like you said, he is the prototypical X receiver. I'll say this, like you mentioned Christian Watson, I think they're so different, man, because Christian Watson utilized his athleticism a lot of the times. I think Bryce, because it took so long for him to break into the lineup, he's got the route running. He has the ball skills. He has the yards after catch ability too, where he can make a guy miss and go get it. Now, I would like to see him be a little bit better with his releases, but that's something that can be developed, right? He has enough in his repertoire to feel good about him being the number one FCS guy off the board. I'll be curious to see if he can get himself into early day 2 status, but we'll see. I think it really depends on the type of year he has on top of what he does at the combine, like you said, what he runs. I'll say this, I'm a big fan of Walthall too, down at Incarnate Word. I love just what an athlete this kid is, and I wish he had better quarterback play right now, and I don't think we're seeing his full ability. But last year, man, he had an outrageous year. Also, to Eric Hunter, man, I mean,
yes, thank you,
Bill. Well, what can I say about Eric Hunter? I mean, you don't find 6'3", 6'4" linebackers that can run like a safety. It is unbelievable watching him play. Like in terms of the prototypical coverage, sideline to sideline linebacker that you want, Eric Hunter is that guy. and he can play special teams. And I mean, he can just do so much. I also too Charles Demings at Stephen F. Austin's becoming one of my favorite defensive prospects in the FCS at corner. Long, can be good in zone, can be good in man. Also too, I love his ability to play the run. The fact that for me, corners that can't tackle and can't play the run in today's age of college football bother me. Charles Demings is not that guy. He's solid there, and he's not going to be a liability on the outside. So those are some of the guys that have kind of stuck out to me. Also, Daniel Sopkowitz over at Illinois State, another wide receiver I really, really like.
So you guys meant you went off with a couple of names you both talked, but you didn't name off two schools for two players. So just for everybody who doesn't know, Bryce, you guys talked about Bryce, but never said what school. And then
North Dakota State,
the linebacker. Where are they out of?
Yeah, and Hunter finally an HBCU kid.
Morgan State.
So Morgan State. And here's the thing about Eric Hunter. All the stuff you said physically, but also he thinks the game. He's a smart player.
Yes.
I've already mounted my campaign to try to get him to Mobile. Jim Nagy, I think, took the job at Oklahoma to get away from me. Because every year I'd bother him about getting more FCS players. But I mean, all the kids that I was able to, I mean, maybe it wasn't me, but that made it there, all showed up and showed out. Last year was like FCS fest. All the FCS kids ate when they got to Mobile. So I'm hoping that Eric Hunter finds his way there. I think Lance is probably already on the list. I'd be shocked.
Who took over for Jim?
What'd you say again?
Who took over for Jim down at the Senior Bowl?
It's what is his name again? I've already bothered him. I should remember his name.
They see Bill coming, they're like,
circle back to me. I do. I can picture him.
It starts with an F, right?
Yes, and he's smaller than Jim. That's a big.
It's like Fabich or Fabianich.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
Drew Fabianich. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
I had to pull it up.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna try to.
But yes, that poor gentleman.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I've heard some things I'm not excited for about him, but we'll see. I'll hold my judgment until after this
Same
year.
here. I'm holding my judgment, but I will talk more off air.
Yeah,
the things
we got to
I
be
have heard
credentialed. We can't say nothing yet. Let us get our credentials, then we'll talk about it.
Right, we'll talk. But there's things that I've heard that have given me, some pause or concern as well. But I want to mention William and Mary. One, because I'm a kid from the 757 and a homer. Not as much as my co-host, but a little bit. And I really, really love. You talked about corners, full service corners who tackle, corners who give you. Intelligence, athletic ability. What else? What else do you want from a corner? William & Mary always has two or three players that I like. And I want to mention a couple of them. And at least one of them, I think, is a legitimate pro prospect. Now, obviously, you have to run fast. That is always an issue for any player. Speed is always the thing you want to do. But Jalen Jones, my guess is he's a low 4.5s guy. He doesn't look blazing fast. He looks fast enough. Mid to low 4.5s, but a Deep Creek kid, right? Deep Creek, Chesapeake, Virginia. Deep Creek High School kid. Hornets, I believe, of Deep Creek, if I remember something correctly. Hornets. I played against, wrestled and played football against them back in the day. I just think that kid's going to find his way into he should be drafted in my mind, but if he doesn't get drafted, he'll find his way to an NFL camp. I think he'll stick. Titan Fleischman, first of all, all named team member candidate, right? I mean, the name. How do you not love the name Titan Fleischman? I think that's a guy that's going to find his way. If he obviously athletic testing can probably determine if he gets drafted or not, but if he gets to say East West Shrine, has a big week, and then has a decent week, gets in the combine, has a decent week, he's going to be drafted late. If he doesn't get to the right situation, still he'll be in a camp. That's a guy I really think has an opportunity. Before you go, tight ends and quarterbacks. I've seen some FCS tight ends and quarterbacks I thought I had a shot. Is there anybody that stands out to you about tight ends and quarterbacks in the FCS?
Yeah, Chris Corbo from Dartmouth.
Yep.
He's the first guy. Super athletic. I like how versatile he is. and he's a pretty solid run blocker. Listen, as a former O lineman, I do value that to a point because you shouldn't have to come off the field for them to run the football. And I think Corbo's shown that he can do that. Also, I think for quarterback, it all starts with Jaden Craig from Harvard. He's probably the top guy there. I mean, I know people have mentioned Bauman and Derek Robertson. I'm not there yet on them. I don't know if I necessarily see the upside, but I think Jaden Craig can be a guy kind of like who was the kid that came out of South Dakota State a few years ago? No. So this is a quarterback. He's like the backup on the Chiefs.
Oh, you're talking about Chris Oladokun.
Yes, that's kind of like I think his upside's higher than Chris Oladokun, but even if he does, like his floor is like Chris Oladokun, where he could just be a practice squad backup guy that could be serviceable for like 10 years, and that's his floor to me. I think his upside's a lot higher though than Oladokun was.
Agreed. I'm going to throw one name at you. So I know you're an FCS guy, but there's a D2 kid that I just have loved. I loved him on tape. I've gotten a chance to talk to him, interviewed him. Super solid individual. If you get a chance to watch Slippery Rock at all, and the PSAC is fun football. There's lots of good D2 football, but my personal favorite is the PSAC. First of all, what I love about the PSAC is the worst team can upset the best team, and sometimes does in the PSAC. Like the PSAC is super competitive. Mountain East is pretty good too, but the PSAC is amazing almost every year in terms of just pure competitive.
There, sir. Ignoring the MIAA like that.
No. MIAA is really good football, but generally the best teams don't lose to the worst teams, and you know that. But in the PSAC, a team that's like 2-7 on like the last week of the season, or might upset the team that wins the conference championship. Like it happens in the PSAC. Edinburgh might knock off, IU, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, or might knock off Slippery Rock, right? I mean, nobody is ever safe in the PSAC, I guess is the point I'm making. But Dylan Chrysley is a quote-unquote undersized 3 tech. He's probably the mid-280s, but powerful as heck. Enormously strong. Can literally run. He's run like laser time sub 4.5s. So insanely talented physically. And he's the one D2 player I've been bothering people about trying to get into some of the better All-Star games. If you get a chance to watch any Slippery Rock tape, let me know, and I'd love to talk about him with you. There
was a Slippery Rock wide receiver that went to Youngstown State this year that was supposed to be pretty good.
Yep.
He transferred up. There was a few D2 kids that went to Tarleton that I was real high on. Like Yasir Holmes came out of Frostburg State.
Correct.
At edge, he was like 6'4", 240, which is outrageous. And then Tyre Young came out of Lock Haven.
Yep.
Hey, wide receiver.
Yep.
Yeah, and I believe he came out of Lock. I believe he came out of the Lock Haven, and man, he had like a crazy year a year ago, and I think he's gonna be really good at Tarleton once they get that passing attack rolling.
Well, and before you go, tell people, Zach, where they can find your work, where they can follow you, what is you're up to, and all the great stuff that you're putting out there.
It feels like you can find me everywhere, man. If I look tired, I am tired, if that makes sense. You can find me on the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms, YouTube, FCS Football Central on si.com/college/FCS. Still co-hosting with Sam Herder on the FCS Football Talk podcast for Hero Sports. And this year, co-hosting with Craig Haley on the FCS Edge for Opta Analyst Stats Perform as well. So find me literally everywhere you can find FCS content, man. And I love talking about it. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah, I don't know how best to express this, just to say it. There is nobody better on the earth than this man, Zach McKinnell. He is an amazing person. His actual life is ridiculous. How he does the things he does, I'll never understand. But you are an amazing person. I love having you on. We'll definitely have before the playoffs. When we get closer to before the playoffs happen, I'll definitely bring you back. And thank you once again. If you care at all, even a tiny bit, check out what he's cooking from the Blue Bloods, from what he does for Sports Illustrated, and the fact that he's with Sam Herder and Craig Haley. I mean, like that's the triumvirate. Like that's
Yeah.
There's no. That's as good as it gets. You and those two, geesh.
I made a joke that like FCS fans can't listen to anything without hearing my voice, and I feel bad for the ones who don't like me because they can't listen to any show without hearing me on it.
Well, they should learn to like you, and then they would enjoy themselves. There it is. Problem faced. I'm solutions-oriented, people. Zach McKinnell is the very, very best. If you ever need me for anything, you ever just want to do some HBCU stuff, let me know. I love having you on. You are the very, very best. You are in my top 5 FOTS friends of the show, and always will be. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Mr. Google Earth himself, Zach McKinnell. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank y'all, man.
Thank you.
With the few minutes we have left before we watch pro football, I want to spend a little more time on the Cy-Hawk Trophy game, which is maybe the most. Well, maybe not. It's one of the 2 most intriguing games amongst FBS action games. I was hoping at some point to get my Oklahoma friend on, but he'll be on later. We'll have him on before Bedlam or before Red River Rivalry game, one of those. But for me, this is a big measuring. That's a big measuring stick game. Iowa State's a big measuring stick game. I think everyone thinks Iowa State is good, and they're probably right. People are not sure about Iowa, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to find out several things. We're going to find out if Iowa can score football points, right, against a team that is good, and if they can prevent that team from scoring points. Usually we assume Iowa's defense is good because we're usually right to assume that Iowa's defense is good. Like death
it's
tackles,
good until it's not good.
Right. Death tackles,
right.
right. Running the ball and playing defense. Like people make jokes about like, is it the Steelers just pretending they still have college eligibility? And it sometimes feels like that, right? Oh, we can run the football, play defense, but what will happen at quarterback? So if this is the year, if they have fixed it at quarterback, well, I'll ask you, what do you think of this game? How do you think this game plays out, Matt?
I think I'm bullish. I'll keep being bullish on Iowa State. I do think Rocco and Matt Campbell have something this year. I do think they could run away and win their conference in the Big 12. So everybody, I know they have the South Dakota State kid transfer. I'm not going to try to say his name either. Another good old Pollock, long name. It's going to be a measuring stick. I think this is going to be a true test for Iowa against a top 25, top 20 team currently in the, FBS level. But I think Iowa, I think Farrick, I think it's just coming to the end for that team, how do I want to say this without saying it like sounding like I just don't think that with how much the college football world has changed, Iowa hasn't changed much over the last couple of years with their coach. It's kind of like he's stuck in the past, and I don't know if that style of football defense is always going to be good, but his offense has been struggling for a very long time, and sooner or later people are going to get tired of just winning 6 games in Iowa. So I think Iowa State wins by 10 plus.
Okay. Yeah. So if this is indeed the coming out game for Mark Gronowski, if he is able to, he doesn't even have to hit maybe the 200-yard mark passing, but if he's at the 188-yard passing and like 90-something yards rushing, and their running attack really looks good, they could do what they do, right? Muck it up, slow it down, maybe get a couple of interceptions or get an interception and a fumble recovery and hang around. If it's a pretty game, they have no shot. If they can uglify this game, they have a shot, which is, I guess, their plan for most games. Can I make this game look like the year 1977 in football? If so, I have a shot to win.
And they still probably won't win.
I'm gonna agree with you, but I think it'll be a little closer than you think. I think it'll probably be more in that 7-ish point range. I like Beck because in addition to all the talent stuff, he seems like a really solid person in terms of when things are going wrong, when you have to be mentally tough, when poise is needed, he seems to be able to come up with it. And then the other game I want to make sure we talk about a little more in depth because it is that other showcase game. Shout out to Joe Cardoza, the founder and CEO of Team MBS. His sturdy Wolverines, Michigan, in a big measuring stick game for both programs, will be facing Oklahoma. They don't face each other very often, as you might already be aware. They don't
SEC and Big Ten,
right? And then, or even Big 12 or Big 8, or you want to how far back you want to go, but they don't play each other often. They've met each other just a handful of times, and they are teams that they have some things in common, right? But they both play defense at a high level generally. Venables is hanging his hat on it. Now he's gone back to calling the defenses. So this is a real referendum on Brent Venables, right? If this year does not go well, it'll be difficult for him to put it on someone else because in addition to being the head coach, he's now the defensive play caller. Oklahoma, as has been their way recently, has done great in the transfer portal. They have a lot of guys from a lot of different places who are really good football players. Their wide receiving room is one of the more dynamic wide receiver rooms in all of college football. And that's probably their biggest advantage over Michigan is their wide receiver room. But Michigan has a pretty good secondary. So that'll be a good strength-on-strength test. Who can run the ball?
There you go. That was going to say. Biggest issue last year with Oklahoma is they could not stop the run. Michigan's biggest strength is that they run the football. So if Michigan gets the ball and starts and drives right down their throat, or the first half, if they go off and run over 100 yards, 150, 200 yards in the first half, OU has no chance of winning the game. But if they're stopping the run and forcing the freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood to beat them with the air, it could be an interesting game if you're and I bet you that's exactly how OU is going to approach this game. Put 8 in the box, stop the run, make the freshman quarterback beat us with his arm, which he has the arm. He showed it off. He showed really a lot. Like it was something Michigan, if they had this talented kid last year, they would have not been a 6-win team last year. I can tell you that much. Bryce legit looked like the truth against. Again, we know it's New Mexico State who they played, but it was still very impressive. And how he was on the sideline just dancing and jamming out. Like first D1 college football game at the big, just another Friday night. Like he just
it wasn't too big for him, as they say. It was definitely not too big for him. I'm intrigued by this game for a couple reasons. All the things we just said, obviously. And then I'm very interested and excited to see what will happen when it comes to, some of the possibilities. She just mentioned, one quarterback. John Mateer is another one of those stealth Heisman candidates. First of all, we just got used to seeing Oklahoma quarterbacks at least be finalists for the Heisman pretty much every year the last several years. Mateer is yet another transfer, he's got some elements of Gardner Minshew and some elements of Baker Mayfield. Not very tall, but it's like a thick, powerful build. Not afraid of putting the ball into some places where other people might be afraid to try to put the ball, but he's an accurate passer. And he can run enough. I wonder if the quarterback run game will be used more by Oklahoma to try to open some things up. I'm intrigued by that part of the matchup as well.
This is going to be, I think it's a very good week 2 matchup for both teams. It's a measuring stick. It's definitely a huge measuring stick for both of these teams. And, we know Sherrone Moore is safe. He's not going anywhere. But Brent Venables was on the hot seat last year. And if you let Michigan come into your house on Saturday Night Football and just run over you again, and you're supposed to be the defensive guy, that seat's probably warming up early.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Like this, with him putting his stamp even more firmly on the defense. I mean, he obviously made his bones as a D coordinator. He's been thought of as a, guru type or whatever on defense. If they do lay a big giant egg on defense, despite the fact they have a lot of good talent on defense, yeah, as you said, the seat will warm up. The seat for one of these coaches will either be ice cold at the end of this game or will at least be slightly tingly in terms of the warmth beginning. Now, obviously, Coach Moore has a little longer leash to work with for a variety of reasons. But yeah, Venables, he's still liked around Norman, but they don't have a lot of patience. They don't have a lot of patience.
They want to get back to the winning ways.
Right,
they want Stoops back. They want to be back into contention. And it's been OU hasn't been football for close to 2 decades. They've been, they had that moment of shine under Lincoln, but that didn't last long.
Yep. Okay, before we close out, do you have any little secret nuggets you want to give everybody before we close out, Mr. Matthew?
No, I have no secret nuggets. I guess I guess I could just talk about a couple guys really quickly after this first weekend. It's not pump the brakes. It's not hold on there bust, but Julian Sayin for Ohio State. Everybody. Ohio State offense and Texas offense both struggled. Both of those quarterbacks could still be something. So let's not completely say they're bust after one start, but give them time, definitely for Arch. It was his first start in Columbus, big moment, great defense. Julian Sayin, great defense by Texas. Don't, and there was a lot of bad drops. One big thing you want to talk about this past weekend that we really didn't talk about, every elite wide receiver, every top school best weapons were dropping the ball left and right. It was insane. From Jeremiah Smith to Ryan Williams to Mike Matthews at Tennessee, Harbor at South Carolina, everybody was dropping the ball this weekend. Or last weekend. Let's see if that improves this week, because that was, we talked about it before coming on live. This is the year of the defense from what I took away from week one. I didn't see a single offense that really there were some strong offensive performances. Tennessee, but Syracuse, OU had a strong week. There's some teams, but it was against the weaker opponents, or not as what we thought they were going to be. South Carolina, we thought we were going to be better. Virginia Tech, it's an elite defensive year, and it's going to be interesting to see if some of these teams can step up. My biggest last thing I would like to talk about, obviously, Tennessee fans told everybody we told you so about Nico. That was a horrible opening performance for Nico at UCLA. 11 for 22, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 13 carries for 40 yards. Your quarterback should not have 40 yards on 13 carries. Let's just go if your quarterback should be, if you're having 13 carries, you're wanting your quarterback to at least get 8 yards a carry. Then Nico was overshooting everybody. So we told you, Tennessee fans, everybody, and then Nico now said Tennessee fans are what did he said we're vile or something. He said that UCLA fans are better. So it's like, okay, you already played us dirty, and then you're going to start attacking us some more. So yeah, and then I think the other big thing too, Caden Proctor at Alabama, 5-star, committed to Alabama, decommitted, went to Iowa, decommitted, went back to Alabama, and Florida State ate his lunch. Proctor had 6 pressures, 1 sack, 2 hurries, 3 rushes, and not a good performance. Not a good performance by Caden Proctor. So there's a lot of things that we're going to want to see this weekend from all these teams and all these players that they can improve, or at least we can see a little bit of improvement from all of them, from Archman to Julian Sayin, Caden Proctor, Lenore Saylor, Harbor. I mean, the offenses, we want to see improvement this upcoming weekend. There were some sparks, Oklahoma's quarterback, Bryce Underwood. There's some good stuff out there, but there was a lot of bad, and I'm not trying to be negative, but the defense is the positive. The offense is we want to see some, because even Cade Klubnik at Clemson looked bad. Nussmeier at LSU was good but wasn't great. I mean, there's a window for quarterbacks, and I'm going to keep pounding the table for my boy Rocco.
Well, you should do that. I'm going to keep pounding it for my guy Darian Mintz at Duke. So, as much as I sort of hate Duke as a program, I really like Mintz as a player. Duke has a really good metrics a game against Illinois for both programs. That's a really.
I almost made that my upset, sir. I almost did.
I circled that game because I'll get a pretty good feeling, at least in the early part of the season, where both those teams are. Mm-hmm. Duke looked really great so far. Now, obviously, they obviously have going to play. They're trying to get jumping competition to go against Illinois, and Illinois looked fantastic. Once again, they were playing a lower level. They're now both going to be meeting, at a level of competition that more fits where each team should be, and an actual conference game in the ACC. I'm very intrigued by, because Virginia and NC State meet, and that's a big measuring stick for those two programs. CJ Bailey is one of the most talented young quarterbacks in all of football. He literally reminds me at times of young Randall Cunningham. I try not to overdo it with comparisons, but he's got some Cunningham-esque qualities. He's athletic, he's strong, he's fast. He was one of the best basketball players in the state. He was a star basketball player, but chose football because he loves it more and because, I think he has a chance to be a special quarterback. Turnovers last week, that kind of sloppiness will bite you against Virginia, so he better tighten up on that. Virginia's Chandler Morris, once again, via transfer portal because they lost Calandria. He has a chance to show people that they were wrong about him. Those sort of gave up on him in the past. Those are two games I'm going to be watching closely, and then I'm going to write about Illinois after that game. Sort of some projections, because I didn't know where they were. They looked really good at times last year. I was a late adopter on Luke Altmaier. A lot of people got excited about him. I'd seen him previously before the transfer, and I was like, really? Luke Altmaier? To his credit, he's worked on a lot of the things that scared the living daylights out of me about him earlier in his career. So he could be a guy who, once again, I don't see a starter, but he could be an NFL quarterback as a backup. So, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, ships at sea, we had the incredible Brandon Booth, a.k.a. Big Boned FFB, a.k.a. Biggs, a.k.a. Big Boned 38 on various social media. He's part of the Undroppables crew on, and also part of the College to Canton college fantasy football, which is fantastic. I poked around at it and meant to sign up for it. And hey, College to Canton guys, hit me again next year. I promise I'll actually play next year. I really will. But they're fantastic. And the incredible Zach McKinnell. Once again, for Matt Brunelli, say goodnight, Matt.
Good night, y'all. Thank you. Just so everybody knows, look out that two of my first two articles dropped.
Yay!
So we got one predictions for the Packers and the death of the NFL red zone.
Yes. Well, thanks for being a downer, Matt. And once again, everybody, we will see you